Right. We are on filmsgonewild.com. My name is John Wildman. We are going to talk to three filmmakers from three short films that are screening at the Lake Travis Film Festival. And let's go one by one. And we usually do this is have our filmmakers introduce the audience to their films because they have not seen the films as of yet. So we'll start off this way. We've got Kara on the runway. So Kara, why don't you start off, introduce yourself, tell us the title of your film and what it's about. Uh-oh.
And WASP stands for Women Air Service Pilots. And it is a short movie about the women pilots who flew during World War II. And it's a documentary that's intercut with narrative scenes. And yeah,
Okay, in case we didn't hear that, Rise Above WASP is the title of the film. I just want to make sure because we had a little bit of wind turbulence there, which is weird. It's totally weird on a runway that you would have that. Okay, Olivia, tell us about Hi.
Yeah, so Hi is two writers falling in love at a marina, and that's kind of what we take place in the short film.
Okay. All right, Lisa, you're the last one here. Tell us about Javelina Run.
Hey there, I'm Lisa Belcher. I directed Javelina Run, and it is a Western comedy. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. And it's about two idiot ranch hands who roll into Javelina County. They are looking to get a date. So they make up this crazy story that they robbed the train because, you know, ladies love dangerous men. And that is Javelina Run.
Okay, we're going to start off this way, which I say half kiddingly, or I ask half kiddingly, and that is, what are the three of you doing making a short film? What is the point? I mean, it's hard as hell to make any kind of movie, and the three of you are using all that energy, all that money to make a short film. Now, I say that half kiddingly because I know there's ambitions behind each one of these films, but let's start off with that. Kara, let's talk about Rise Above WASP. Why did you make the film?
So Rise Above WASP is always the WASP have always been my heroes since I was in college. Sorry, I'm getting a flag, so that's they're trying to put on it. And I always wanted to tell their story. And we had an opportunity with the Commemorative Air Force. They asked us to make something for them, which was awesome. So I pitched my butt off to get this job. So that's kind of why this even happened. But if it hadn't, if we didn't have somebody to pay us to do that, totally have wanted to make a short about them. And I know most people do shorts because they want it for their reel and they want to get their name out there and they want to potentially get jobs doing more directing, which I know this is definitely one of the reasons I submit it to festivals, because I would like to keep doing this.
Okay, all right. And now, Olivia, I know, Hi, is it one of three parts? Well, tell us about the ambitions here.
Yeah, so I did the short film as a way to raise funding for the feature film. It's a proof of concept short film. It's a scene taken out of the feature script. I'm trying to show the feel and the overall aesthetic of the film towards investors. The whole intention to do it was to film the feature, and we will be filming the feature in August of this year. Yeah, and I just wanted to get it out there and people to start seeing these characters.
Awesome. And Lisa, same thing with you. This is also the short is not just the thing of itself, but it's to kick off something bigger, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. It's just like Olivia said, as sort of a proof of concept. It's a little based off of a film or an inspiration of the Coen brothers, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. They kind of have a collection of Western stories, and those are all different genres, which Javelina Run will all kind of be the same tone and take place in Javelina County. So Yeah, it's kind of like a proof of concept. And Olivia, I don't know if you're feeling this way, but having something made and being able to show investors and go, this is an example of what the film looks like. This is an example of our work, all that sort of stuff is really helpful. And I would have loved to have shot the whole thing all together if I could have raised all the money. So really, we just had to start financially out, with the one piece. So.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It starts out with just like you're trying to at least show people, instead of just having something on a page that's hard to kind of read and visualize, you're bringing it to life, so they're like, oh, this is actually really beautiful.
Well, the next thing, I grouped the three of you together for a reason, and this is like, I brought the three of you here together to tell you something. No, but the reason is, as women filmmakers, there's a special level of pain in the assery that we go through to make films that say, I will never have to worry about. And it goes into one that, trying to get people to give you the money to make the damn thing, to even set politics and stuff that you have to deal with that you may need to put thought in that I would never have to, because I'm a dude and nobody's gonna ever question decisions I'm making or throw shade my way or anything. And I would love the three of you to talk for a moment about your current state, filmmaking wise. Like, this is what I'm assuming from things that I'm reading, what I'm talking to other women filmmakers. But maybe you may be the rare exception where you go, something, it's been kind of clear sailing for me. So Lisa, let's start with you on this. This process, especially, and again, you're trying to do a feature, you're doing a short going into the feature, but as a woman filmmaker, have you had issues that you go, something, I wouldn't have had to deal with this shit, if I was a guy?
I mean, yeah, there are moments here and there. In general, I've been pretty fortunate, and it hasn't been, I haven't found too many specifics, but the thing that I notice, I guess, the most for me is attending film festivals.
Really?
I think we all kind of have just this inherent, like, oh, director equals a guy. And so when I go to a film festival, my first people, if they see my badge, they're usually like, oh, are you an actress? They just assume that. So I have to work a little harder to explain that, yes, I am a director. And that's no fun to go through that. It's I don't want to sound egotistical and go, no, I directed this, and sound like a jerk, but you do have to put that extra work into it, that this space right here is what a director really could look like. So that's kind of been my challenge.
All right, Olivia.
Yeah, so I feel like I've been pretty fortunate in that way as well. I feel like it's just a push for everybody. Making a film is hard in general from anyone that is a filmmaker. I would say the hardest part, and I think there's a difference with like age too. So there's moments where I'm like, I don't know if they're saying it because I'm young or if because I'm a woman. But I agree with the director's standpoint. They assume you're just an actor as a woman to start out. And then I'm like, no, I'm a producer, director. I wrote this. I'm making this, and it's like a shock value in some moments, which I'm like, it's fun. I appreciate it, but it's funny in that way that it's like shocking. I recently had someone tell me that I couldn't, and they kept telling me, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't be a director, but you should act in it. And I was like, why can't I? I wrote it. I have this vision for it. I've made the proof. I don't know why you're telling me this. So I think that was one of my biggest challenges. And that was coming like from a business standpoint of they're looking at the money. So creative wise, I haven't had too much of an issue, but in the business side of things, when you have meetings, they're they're looking at those aspects a little bit. But again, I think maybe it might be an age thing instead of a woman thing.
Okay. And Kara, let's see what's your version of this?
I've been working in the film industry for about 20 years, and I have had lots of good experiences and lots of bad experiences. Or I shouldn't say lots of bad experiences, a few bad experiences. So, I mean, like, there's definitely a difference. Fortunately, when I'm directing, I pick my crew, and everybody top to bottom is awesome. So I don't really have any problem with that, like as far as on set goes. But definitely the getting the money thing is an issue, which Olivia was saying. I agree with that. And it is hard to get. It is hard. I'm a little older, so but I can see her having trouble being younger and not being taken as seriously. And I have it's more when we're out and about promoting the movie, and I've definitely had somebody talking to my DP, who is also my husband, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're not the director." He's like, "No, Kara is." And then he just like did this like back and forth, like his brain exploded, and he's like, "Well, I thought the director was a man," and I'm like, "No," but so I think it's more like that there's just this preconceived concept that women don't do that, and I know it's been a struggle and it's a push, and I love when I see other women directing as well. Like, it warms my heart, and I just want to be best friends with them.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yay.
It's funny. A few years back, my wife Justina and we decided, well, we're going to make a couple short films, and I would direct one, and she'd AD for me, and she would direct one, and I would AD for her. But one of the things we did when she was doing her film and I was ADing for her is that whenever we had a conversation talking about the schedule or notes or suggestions, that I was hyper conscious to make sure that we were out of eye shot of anybody in the crew whatsoever, just to make sure that nobody had any idea that I was like ghost directing. Right, just to make, and I think I was more hyper sensitive about it than she was to protect her from that. But it's that idea, Kara, that I think that you're talking about, where you still have, in 2021, you still have doofuses out there that just make that idiot assumption. I also have to add, this is something I found, like on the red carpets, of course, I'm making sure that I ID everyone, and I'm making sure that everybody has their credits down. And more often than not, when I have a woman director, that not only is the director and the writer, and sometimes in the cast, and the producer, and I'm like going, and you did craft services, and you also gaffed and gripped. I mean, it's like they've done every single damn thing on that film, practically, other than actually holding the boom and the camera at the same time. And I think there's something inherent in, when you talk about like the auteur thing. I think there's a difference in the auteur concept as far as coming up with the story and running the story. But for a woman director, I think running the set, there's a different kind of auteur thing that I find that is really prevalent with women directors.
Yeah.
I agree. I think there's a lot of, we naturally wear a lot of hats well. I don't know. And John, I wanted to comment kind of what you said earlier. I thank you for the way that you handle yourself around your wife directing. My sort of closest team, my DP, my composer, and my producing partner are all men. And when I'm with them, they always make an effort to point toward me, because people just look to them, like you were saying, Kara. And so when they say, "Oh yeah, Lisa, our director," or "There's our director," and I appreciate that so much. And maybe that's why I work with them over and over again. And it's just, people need that help to see who's the director. And I appreciate it when men do that. So that's, keep it up.
But, you know, and
around
you shouldn't have to, but yes, you know, I think it's so important to have that set relationship with your team.
Yeah, the team, and I always credit my team because they are absolutely amazing. They want to see your vision come to life, and I have never had on the creative side anyone question like the vision, or like even then, like it's a very collaborative process. So I'm open to that sort of thing, but there's never been like, oh, you're a woman type of thing on the creative side. And so I love to have, and most of my team are men, and I'm adding some women into the feature as like into the crew and stuff like that. And everyone just works so well together.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can particularly on Rise Above WASP, I tried to get as many women as I could on my crew, which ends up being like 50-50. And it's not, I don't do it to be like, oh, I just want women. I want the best. And I happen to know, because I've worked in this industry for a while, I happen to have run across women who are awesome at what they do. So, and they all, of course, jumped on board because it was a movie about women from history who pretty much are struggling the same way we are as women directors, because there was such a small percentage of women pilots. There's a lot of parallels to our worlds with aviation and filmmaking in that aspect. But having more women on set changes the set, and not in a like, I don't even describe it, but I don't want to say it's more chill, but it's more, there's a more understanding between people. So it's awesome, and I love my male crew members too. Like, I think they're fantastic, and yeah, I just think it's all awesome.
Okay,
And-
all right, we're going to finish up with 2 button questions. And the first one is this: in those moments that we have as filmmakers where we go, why did I ever want to do this in the first place? And you know, and what was I thinking? Oftentimes there's a film that we can go back to and watch it and go, that's why, because I wanted to do this, like this inspired me. And not necessarily our favorite film, but there's a film as filmmakers that goes, that's what kind of, you know, that's what kind of ruined me. So that the first button question is, what is that film for you? What is your lifesaver film? And Olivia, we're going to start off with you on this one.
All right, yeah. So I love this question every time. So I always credit back my inspiration to Moulin Rouge. I fell in love with that story when I was, and this is kind of like, but I watched it when I was like 12 or 13. And again, you don't really know what's going on, but the themes at that time, like, they just always stuck with me. And then also his directing style, Baz's directing style, the idea that you can create this beautiful world, even though, and finding out like he did it all in studio, like they never were in Paris or France or whatever. It was so inspiring to me. And then the characters just stuck with me, and how strong they are as people, and just the themes I use throughout my life, like truth, beauty, freedom, love. And it's just something that anytime that I need to take a step back and you're like, oh my God, this is hard, why am I doing this? I go back to those themes and I remind myself, like, you want to create this beautiful world because you love filmmaking and you love being here and you love doing this.
Wow, a tough act to follow. Kara, you got to
Oh
follow
my God.
that.
I don't know if I have a particular movie in my brain that I would spark to, but I mean, I have my favorites like Jaws, which I think is just a wonderfully written movie, and I have my newer ones who, like, I love Captain Marvel, and obviously, and Wonder Woman. I just love that women get to be shown in that powerful way. But the reason I fell in love with storytelling and filmmaking is my grandfather was my best friend, and he taped everything off of HBO like Turner Classic, every channel possible, and just gave me the VHSs, and I watched all of them. And he had a camcorder, and he was nice enough to let me use it when I was 8 years old, and it was like the most expensive thing. So I think that's where I fell in love with it. But I actually am going to have to go because my flight is taking off, and everybody.
All right. All right, Kara, thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you guys, and good luck with your piece.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Bye,
Nice
Kara.
to meet you.
That's awesome.
Bye, Kara.
All right, Lisa, you're the last one on this question.
Okay. I mean, I'm inspired by so many different films and different genres, so obviously a challenging question, but one film that really that it stuck with me is Life is Beautiful by Roberto Bernini, the Italian film. And I think it really made me feel, and I thought about it so much afterward. And I think that's our job as filmmakers, is to connect with an audience and hopefully get an emotional reaction out of them. And so that film just inspired me, along with many, many others, but there's one of them.
Okay, and the final button question, popcorn or candy? Olivia.
Why are you doing this to us? Why? Both, because this is what I do. I go to the theater and I get popcorn and I get M&Ms, and it's like it's an every time thing. And then I put one popcorn and one M&M at the same time. And so I'm like, you can't say one or the other because I have both and I put them together and eat them. So I'm like, no, this question is too hard.
Well, that's just straight up science right there. That's all.
Yeah, I was like,
science. Okay, popcorn or candy for you?
Junior mints every time, candy, 100%.
All right. All right. So we talked with Olivia Nash about her film High, Lisa Belcher with her film JAVELINA Run. I finally said the title correctly there. And Kara White with her film Rise Above WASP. All three films screening at the Lake Travis Film Festival. It's really great talking to you.
It was
Thanks so much
amazing
for having
to talk
us.
to you. Yes, thank you.